This home we're standing in right now went under contract for $400,000 in less than 21 days. And guess what, people? In 4 days, fell apart. So what we're going to be talking about is, one, what happens when a deal falls apart and you're a seller, how we regrouped, and how we ultimately got this home sold. And let's just be honest, when a deal falls apart and comes back to the market, you're instantly losing momentum. The buyers are now thinking, okay, what's going on with the property? Your sellers are a little bit unsure and anxious. So what is vital is not only regrouping, but putting a new strategy in play to still execute on what it is going to take to sell the home. So let's get into that. Now, if you guys are thinking about selling your home and want a strategy on whether the home falls apart and how you regroup, or just how to make sure that you're attracting multiple offers, check the description below where you will find my free seller guide for you guys to download that is going to walk you guys through the entire process, the strategies that I use, and the psychology that you're going to need in order to make sure you not only put the money in your pocket that you're looking for, but sell in the right time period that works for you and your family. Okay, so you guys are wondering, how does this happen? You went under contract, $400,000, and the deal falls apart in 4 days. Even saying that is just like, oh. But ultimately, guys, when you go under contract, there's something called an inspection period, okay? And that inspection period, 7 to 10 days, a buyer can walk away from the property for whatever reason they want, whether it is something that you personally deem is right or not, okay? In this situation, we went under contract on a Thursday. Like I said, guys, we went under contract in less than 21 days in an area where the average days on market is 70 days. So you can imagine how hyped the seller was. Not only did we outperform our listing price that was $384, right? But we created a multiple offer situation to where it got bid up all the way to $400,000. If you guys remember in the first video, which you'll probably see somewhere up here, we were talking about the comparables of the area, and the top property was $400,000, but had all the upgrades. We got that price. So you can imagine the emotions of the seller and the homeowner when we got in that offer, and then for it to be taken away 4 days later in their eyes, wasn't the best, on top of the situation that this home is being sold for in divorce. So a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings going on. And personally, I just think that the other buyer may have seen another house and wanted to get out of it. That's my personal opinion, okay? But we had to regroup and figure this thing out. So when I get the news, I immediately go back to all the other offers that were sent in to see if they were still interested, okay? Now, the unfortunate fact about this is when this happened, guys, during the weekend. So obviously the people who put in contracts also looked at other homes. So by the time I went back to go and talk to the other realtors who put in an offer, you guessed it, those buyers had moved on and selected another home. So with that news, going back to the sellers, like, guys, I know at this time right now, it's not feeling the greatest. It actually feels like the rug was pulled from up under you, but I got you. So we had to go into a new strategy. Reevaluating where we were at in the market and kind of the new strategy, immediately we started hosting more open houses. I had a number of some of my agents come and Saturday and Sunday, get more exposure, get more neighborhood motion is what I like to call it. In addition to that, like I told you guys in video number 2, I run Facebook ads out of my own pocket. So I increased the spend on that, right? The reason why, the more you spend naturally on Facebook, the bigger the reach and the more frequency it pumps out our people's homes. So with our home coming back on the market, we have to conjure back up that momentum. So I pumped more into that. Also, as realtors, that MLS that we have on the back end, we can see other buyers' agents, their customers, if they liked our home, right? So it's a cool little function that you're able to see. And I went back to that list. It's called reverse prospecting for my people that like technicalities and stuff like that. So I went back, reached out, hey, Your client still has our home favorited? Are they still interested in the home, right? So we're wheeling and dealing, doing every single thing possible that we can drum up more momentum and get this home under contract. Once again, with the divorce situation and just emotions, and this essentially being the final thing before, you know, they can start their new lives, it's a little bit of pressure, a little bit of anxiety, as you guys can imagine. It took 3 weeks. So you can imagine the feeling, hey, Deontay, we're getting all these offers in less than 21 days. And then it takes 21 days to start getting more offers and more engagement. But ultimately, we did get some offers in. Now, they were not $400,000. And that's a tough conversation to have. So with that being said, we had to go back to the drawing board on both parties and like essentially, hey guys, this is the amount of money that you're going to get. We run net sheets, and shout out to my title company, Elevate Title. Her contact information is going to be all in the description below. And we're able to run what's called net sheets. And what net sheets do is it shows you, okay, we're going to take a look at all the expenses, and this is the money that you are guys going to put in your pocket and walk away with. So I have to rerun that number for them. In addition to that, this new offer, the buyer was asking for closing costs, which essentially takes money out of your pocket. Situation that was not necessarily the case for the first offer. On top of that, guys, we are in the middle of a changing market in the sense of in the Orlando area, spring and summer are your hottest seasons in regards to getting your home sold, which is great. However, it creates more competition. And we were approaching the summer, which means more inventory comes in, more options, and our home still sitting on the market is not that new sexy girl anymore, to be honest with you, right? So those are all things we had to evaluate on top of their situation. Hey guys, it's a decent offer that's come in. I know it's not the 400,000 one that we want, but essentially it still gets us to the finish line before we start to hit not only the average days on market, but now start competing with that summer influx of inventory. So even though we felt the home was priced correctly and, you know, we did all the things we were supposed to do, we did accept the offer that was behind the list price. But like I said before, considering the market conditions and their personal situations, we went with the offer. Now, as we go through the offer and the inspection period rears its amazing head again. Some things that we already knew that were going on with the home. There was a few tiles that were missing on the roof. Even though it was newer roof, insurance does not like to see that. This is a new homeowner. The new homeowner really felt like that was a huge issue with insurance. The seller is like, hey, we already gave you seller concessions. Once again, that was another negotiation between me and the other agent in regards to let's find a happy medium so we can get this thing to the finish line. Yes, it was going to be able to be insured, but understanding the new buyer having that concern and the worst case scenario that can be from that, the seller ultimately understood, and we were able to come in the middle in regards to the concession that they were asking. After that, smooth sailing, anxieties were down. Also, once again, shout out to Elevate Title because that's a big part of closing your home. They're doing the title search. They're doing the lien search. They're making sure you have a clear title. So when you get to the closing, right, everything is smooth and you get that money in your bank account, which is why I love what they do. So bringing everything full circle from the attorney calling me in the first call, right? For this being a divorce situation, from running the comps, from having the highs of a $400,000 offer, from regrouping and understanding, yes, we're still under contract, even though it's lower, we're still getting to the finish line. We got the home sold. That's the moral of the story, guys. When we do a lot of these pre-planning, right? When we do the pre-listing inspection, when we do the necessary repairs, when things come like this and we get jabs and hooks, we're able to fend it off because we prepared for it, we trained for it, and it makes the transaction so much smoother, right? So if you guys are worried about selling your home and having a smooth transaction, like I always tell you, check the description below. I have my free seller's guide that's going to educate you guys all the way through the process. And you guys can see from this whole scenario, each part of this 4-part series, what it takes to sell a home, but also that you can do it. So our next home that we'll be featuring, I want you guys to stay tuned because it has a very, very interesting story in regards to not only they had to sell their home, but they had to buy another home at the same time. Make sure you check out how they do it in the next video. Peace.